Hello and welcome to the Success Showcase. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin from the Modern Observer Group. And with me, as always, is Chip Janiszewski from the Happiness and Success GPS. Chip, how are you doing today?
Doing great. How about you, Eric?
Doing fantastic.
Happy holidays. They're here.
The holiday season is indeed here. We are a mere week away from Christmas. The year is winding down. And today we're going to talk about the holiday season and what you can learn from the holiday season to apply to your success.
Sounds like a good topic.
I always like it. And I think to start off with, we've talked about this quite a bit, but when you're talking about the holiday season, you really do have to talk about gratitude. We talk
about time of year actually when gratitude it all of a sudden becomes foremost in people's minds, and it kind of douses some of the problems that people are having during the year, because it is a season to reach out and count your blessings and that kind of thing. And people seem to be a little bit more cheery, except when they're in the Black Friday shopping lines and stuff like that. But it's it's a season of love. It's a season of kindness. It's a season of just counting blessings and that kind of thing, encouraging people. And one of the things that we talk about a lot in developing and maintaining a positive mindset is throwing out your automatic reaction bad habits, such as criticizing and judging and complaining and so on and so forth, and turning them around 100% into 180% into things such as appreciating people and encouraging people and supporting people and that kind of thing. And so, I mean, one of the things that you can learn from the holiday season is next time you are appreciating somebody or walking down the street looking at the joy and so on and so forth, get that feeling and think to yourself, how would it feel to feel like this the whole rest of the year? And it's your choice to do so. So that is a huge, huge thing to take away. I mean, gratitude is awesome, but it's also something that you can form a habit out of, and this is a great time of year to start.
Right. People go out of their way this time of year to give people the benefit of the doubt, to look at the brighter side of things, to have that positive attitude. Now, imagine if you did that all year long.
Imagine what it would do for the world itself. Imagine if all of the headlines in the newspapers and started talking about great community service efforts and other great things that people are doing for other people in this world. Wouldn't it be cool if for one day they put the front page headlines on the back and put all of these great things that are going on in the world on the front, and then gave the world a survey as to how they felt about reading that kind of stuff? Would they like to see more? Now, you people listening out there, think about that. You know this is never going to happen, but what effect do you think that would have on you and everybody else out there if, in fact, this did happen? Would the world be a better place? Would you be a happier person? Would life be easier for you on a day-to-day basis? If you have an attitude of gratitude, I think you know that the answer is yes.
Right. And also this time of year, people are in the spirit of giving. They have this attitude where they go out, they give to charity, they're looking for gifts, not just for themselves. And it's really a period of time where people are thinking of others first. And again, unfortunately, this period only seems to last about 6 weeks, but imagine if that continued. If you thought about what you could do for someone else, even if it was just a tiny little thing, but if once a day you did something that made somebody else's life better, without thinking about a reward, without thinking about, what it was costing you or what it meant for you, just one little thing to make someone's life better.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about that as being unconditional giving, and that's what it's all about. And the bottom line is, you'll know if you're giving unconditionally, and if you are, and other people are benefiting from that, whether they tell you or not, you're feeling that little warm fuzzy right in your heart, because that's where it's all coming from. And that's really what life is all about, is unconditional giving. And once you do that and get into attitude and a habit of doing that, it's going to come back to you really twice for everyone that you do. It's going to be great for the person who's the recipient of what you do, but you're going to feel it too every single time you do it. And it's a wonderful feeling, and that's going to grow on you. And again, this is a fantastic time of year just to begin doing that. And it, as you said, it could just be a kind act towards somebody. A lot of times people will reach out and volunteer their time and make, contributions and so on and so forth. But if you can just start doing that, even if it's just smiling at people where you just walk by them normally on a day-to-day basis, it's a great thing to do. And you're going to really, really feel wonderful doing that.
Absolutely. And of course, the lessons from the holiday season don't stop with simply the attitude of the holidays. And it is hard to maintain that attitude 12 months a year. But if you follow what you're doing and you create processes, now what do processes have to do with the holidays? Well, think about what you do on the holidays, your holiday traditions, the recipes that you make, the people you see. Those traditions are processes. Why do they make you feel good? Because it's the same thing every year. You look forward to, mom's turkey dinner, or seeing the family, or the traditional football game. Whatever it is, it's the same thing, and you look forward to it year after year. Well, making that happen is a process, and businesses use processes all the time. And this is a great way to understand why. Because think how good you feel when you have that tradition happen. And think how disappointed you are when something interrupts that tradition and something happens that you don't get to do it. You don't get to go home for the holidays or see certain people for the holidays. Or, there's something different about the dinner that doesn't work quite right. Those processes are how a business gives this feeling to its customers. Customers want to have that same great feeling every time they deal with you. So how do you do that? Is you create a process to create those feelings. And when you do the same thing over and over again, and you have the recipe for that outcome written down so that no matter who in your company is doing it, it comes out exactly the same way, you're giving that feeling to your customers. They want to come back to you because they know every time they do, they get that same great feeling. And it's the same way you feel about your holiday traditions that they can feel about your business.
Yeah, when people this time of year, they ask other people, what are you doing for the holidays? And most of the time, people are going to get nostalgic about what they've done in the past, maybe because they're not doing it anymore or because they're looking forward to doing it every year. But for your business, you are feeling really good about successes that you've had in the past. And as you are saying, if you could sit down with yourself and with your fellow employees and your clients and whoever and find out what makes them happy, the things that you've done and so on and so forth that have worked out for you, and write these things down, write down these processes and have them on paper so that you can do them over and over and over again. This is a great time of year to do some reflection, self-analysis on your business, just like it is when you're reflecting upon this year and what you're grateful for. So that's a fantastic analogy, is to look at the processes in business just like you do when you're looking at processes that make you happy, the holidays being one of them.
Right. And it's a great time of year to do that. I mean, yes, we're all busy with our personal lives going about our holiday business. But remember that right after Christmas comes New Year's. And it's a great time to give yourself that fresh start.
Absolutely. I had found, we were just discussing this before, because obviously this is, how do you feel gratitude for the holidays? What are you learning from the holidays and so on and so forth? There's lots of things you can do. So obviously I like to go online and look things up. And I came across an article called The Financial Lessons That You Can Learn from Classic Holiday Movies. And what they did was they listed 10 movies, a lot of which we know, some of which maybe you haven't heard of. And they list the title and then what the lesson is, and then they explain things. And the first movie on the list was called Jingle All Your Way, which came out in 1996. And the lesson from this is your kids crave your time and not expensive toys. And in this movie, it said should be required viewing for Black Friday shoppers everywhere. The main character, Howard, is played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he decides to make up for spending too much time at work by buying his son the year's most popular toy, the coveted Turbo Man action figure. Does that sound familiar, parents out there?
It does.
Through an array of horrible Christmas Eve shopping misadventures to find the toy, Howard finally realizes that he, and not Turbo Man, is the hero his son truly longs for. And those of you who are caught up in your day-to-day life and so on and so forth, and you can't find time to spend with your kids, or even kids with your parents, the bottom line is the most precious commodity you can give to your loved one is your time. So it's a fantastic lesson. Kids crave your time, not expensive toys.
Absolutely. And I think it's very important to remember that in reverse as well. As we're getting older, our parents are getting older. If you still have them, they want to spend time with you. Spend time with them. You're not going to have them forever. Take advantage of the time you have.
Absolutely. I found a funny one that does pertain to business lessons that you can learn, and it's called The Santa Claus. And this was a movie where Santa Claus, it's Tim Allen is the main character in there, and the lesson from this one is always read the fine print. And the way this story goes, in the 1990s, businessman Scott Calvin, who was played by Tim, accidentally kills the actual Santa Claus. Following directions on St. Nick's business card, Scott puts on the Santa suit, gets whisked off to the North Pole, but what he doesn't realize is that the business card has a legally binding clause on it, written in tiny print. In fact, he has entered into an unbreakable agreement to become the next Santa Claus for life. I don't remember watching the movie for a long, long time, but I do remember that it was pretty hysterical. But always reading the fine print is a good lesson to learn on the business side of things.
Absolutely. And let's face it, in real life, not reading the fine print can get you into a lot more trouble than simply becoming Santa Claus.
This is true.
So what else do you have on the list?
Let's see. Home Alone. We all remember that, Macaulay Culkin, back in 1990. The lesson from this one is never underestimate the value of protecting your assets. And as you remember, this is something I love watching this movie. It chronicles the adventures of a young boy named Kevin who finds himself accidentally left behind while his whole family goes on their holiday vacation. Remember that? They're on the plane, they're heading out there, and Kevin, he's not there. But Kevin is alone in the house, and he's forced to defend his home against two burglars by setting a series of ingenious booby traps. And those are just, it's so fun to watch those. And it's all kinds of slapstick where he's clobbering these guys with just his really, really great wit. And the 1990 film has a lot to say about remembering what's important, such as if you have a mansion, you need a good home security system. And that you should never get caught up in your holiday plans so much that you forget your 8-year-old.
Absolutely. That was actually the one thing that always confused me about that movie. Because anybody who actually has an 8-year-old knows just how loud